Grizzlies, Neil Rule. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Of course, he is Coach Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies. Happy to have you with us here tonight. Camp, how's it going, man? I know the answer.
No, not the best Thanksgiving ever. It was beautiful down there, though.
It was.
I know you had fun.
I did. I saw you out. You were poolside, too. Don't be acting like you weren't out there next to the pool either.
I did go to the lazy river, and then we played really lazy. So I think maybe we were in the lazy river a little too much.
It could be the possibility. I don't know. As always, remember, you can get involved with the Greg Kampe Show. Send a tweet with the hashtag #AskKampe. We'll get to those questions as the night rolls on. And the Greg Kampe Show brought to you by Henry Ford Sports Medicine, the official team physicians for Oakland University and you. For more information, visit henryford.com/athletes. But Camp, as you said, trip to the Bahamas, while the weather was great, certainly disappointed with the outcomes.
Yeah, we didn't play well. Now, we did play three really good basketball teams. I think all three of the teams that we played would either win our league or be in the top three in our league. I don't think there's any question about that. At Long Beach State, was picked to win their league. They won it last year. Again, these are not excuses. I'm just telling you what happened. The style of play down there was very physical. And
that's one way to describe it, yeah.
I think the referees were told the games have to be over in 2 hours. I think we have to keep the games because I've never been anywhere where I've seen the physicality of play through every game in the tournament. It wasn't. I mean, it was turned into being wars. The Ball State's who did we play the last game? Missouri. Missouri State Ball State game was the most physical basketball game I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was football played on a slippery court, and no fouls, nothing. Kids getting hurt. Our game, I've coached over 1,200 games in my life, and never in a game played a team that presses, and with 6 minutes to go in the half, there have been no fouls called. And that's in the second half too. That's not the first game. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And it wasn't good for us. Again, it's not an excuse because it was consistent. You had to play it. But, Trey Townsend, probably if those games had been officiated the way they're officiated in our league, probably would have shot 10 to 12 free throws a game. And, I think he shot 5 or 6 the whole tournament. So it was a learning experience for us, learning to play against physicality, learning to play against denial defense. 2 of the 3 teams really got into us, guarded us full court, wouldn't let us make an entry pass. And our offense became, some ball screen and one-on-one. And I actually was pretty pleased with some of that happened, that we were able to get really good looks against that pressure when taken out of our offense. I don't think there's a lot of teams in our league that'll be able to take us out of our offense. But on a given night, somebody might, looking at Milwaukee possibly, the way they're playing on a given night, they might be able to do that. And I thought we handled that. And we got some good looks. We didn't shoot the ball extremely well, but we didn't shoot it poorly. But what we really, really did not very well was play defense. Our defense was really atrocious in the tournament. It was bad. I mean, you just can't say anything other than it was really bad, and we have to fix it. How we're going to fix it, I'm not sure. My man Pittsburgh Marty texted me today about, I don't have the phone open right now, but it was something that he heard me say we can't play defense, and his question was, well, can you play it and you don't want to play it? And he might be onto something there. So I told him I'd mention that on the show tonight. And, we give him credit for that if I said it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Pittsburgh Marty got his question in there. We will get to those questions a little bit later on in the show here with the hashtag #AskKampe on Twitter. Anything you want to know, fire away. Camp has never not answered a question in the history of this show. Second segment of the Greg Kampe Show. We'll be joined by Keaton Hervey here in the house from RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. I know it wasn't the result he wanted. Keaton did score 24 points in the game against Missouri State yesterday. We'll talk to him. And his assimilation here to the Oakland program and everything that goes along with that. And I'm curious about that too, going up against the school you transferred from, and we'll talk about all that stuff with Keaton. If you have a question for him, you could tweet that in there as well. But Cam, as you look at it too, UNC Wilmington did win the championship. They beat North Texas in the Nassau championship. As far as that, and that was something that I did talk about a lot. Long Beach State won the Big West Conference, went to the NIT. They've been to the NIT a couple of times. San Jose State's in the Mountain West. Missouri State finished tied for second in the Missouri Valley. And while maybe some of those schools don't carry, the quote unquote blue blood college basketball name that people would be familiar with, make no mistake about it, Cam. That was as good of a field as I've seen. It was
a great mid-major field, very similar to the one we were in last year.
Right.
4 teams played the NCAA tournament in the field we were in last year. It's just a different feeling. Last year we came back and we won that tournament against all those teams, and then this place was packed for the show tonight. This is one of our smaller crowds. I mean, it's all, you got your base people that are always here, and then you got people that when things go good, they're here, and when they don't, and it didn't go good for us. So, but I'm glad we got Keaton here tonight. Keaton really has been a joy to coach and really helped our team. And I just wish he would have come 3 years ago when we first started recruiting. He finally made it here, and he's playing great basketball for us. And I wish we would have beaten Missouri State. I really do, but it was great for me to watch him play so well against his former team. And I knew he was going to have a night when he banked the 3 in early on. Yeah. But he played a great game, just not scoring the ball, but he rebounded the ball. He played his butt off. I mean, he played with all the emotion he could play with. He's been a real joy for us, and I'm not sure where we'd be without him. So we're very fortunate that he's here for his last year with us.
Kemp, when you look at it too, and there has been a lot of questions about JMO and Jalen Moore and the health of his ankle and stuff like that. I from a burst perspective, from an explosion perspective, I saw it on occasion with Jalen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just that, especially when he was at the top of the defense there and that little shift you guys made against San Jose State when you're down 26 in the game and cut it to 3. He looked explosive. He looks like he's getting healthier as it goes along.
Yeah, I'm not going to make excuses. I mean, he's on the floor and playing, and if he's going to play, then it's not. We'll get better when he gets healthy. It's he's out there playing, and he's got to play. I mean, we've got other guys that if he can't play, then they would play. So he wants to play. It's his last year. He's been a very integral part of our program for a long time, and so I'm giving him the leeway to play through it. He's got to play better, though. I don't think he's playing anywhere near his capabilities, and I'm sure that could be an excuse, but we're not making excuses. We just got to play better. We're not playing the way we're capable of playing.
Well, what about the stretches, Cam? When you looked at the Missouri State game, especially in particular that first half. What'd you say, like the first 16 to 18 minutes of that basketball game? And I think you told me on the post-game show, you said that's as well as you guys have played this season. I would agree with that from what I've seen. What changed in that game, Cam?
Well, I felt watching the game live that the first 16 minutes of that game was our best. Like I said, the first 8 to 10 minutes against Eastern Michigan was unbelievable, but that's not something sustainable.
Right.
Making every 3, scoring 28 points in 9 minutes or something like that's not sustainable. I just mean solid basketball. I thought the first 16 minutes against Missouri State was as good as we played. But when I went back and looked at it on film, I disagreed with that. Our defense was bad. They missed shots. And, and then they started making them. And then we started making mistakes with the ball. One of the problems we're having that get teams going are that our turnovers are like pick sixes in football. We turn the ball over at the top of our offense, which usually leads to a basket, or we've taken some bad shots that are usually corner shots that usually break off towards the opposing team's basket, which is like a jailbreak, fast break then. And those things are killing us. We had a 12-point lead or 10-point lead against Missouri State in 2 possessions, 2 quick turnovers, bam, bam, layups. And within 20 seconds, the momentum switches, and It's what we're doing offensively that leads to that. And then defensively, the mistakes we make are just killing us right now. Teams are shooting 40% from the three against us. Last year, we gave up 29.9% from the three, which was one of top 5 in the country. And the defense is built to guard the three. And right now, we're giving up a lot of open threes, a lot of catch and shoot threes. And then the second thing that's happening defensively is we're getting driven. Our closeouts are really bad. And I don't want to get technical, but let's say I'm in a spot on the floor and the ball's thrown to you and you're the guy I'm supposed to guard. I'm going lunging out at you and you're just taking the ball and going by me because, the physics of it. And we're not getting it done. And so you got to look at, well, how are we teaching it? Are we working on it hard enough, long enough? Obviously, it's not working what we're doing. So we have to look at why. Why is this happening? And we've got 2 days to fix it because we have, 2 of the most important games of the season this week. And the next 2 days of practice are going to be really, really important. We're not going to 100% fix it, but if we can
do enough to get by.
Yeah, just dam it up a little bit, and then after the Syracuse game, we've got 14 days of practice that we can maybe fix what we're doing. So this is a survival week. We've got to find a way to get better defensively, win 2 basketball games, and then know that we can.
So the angle of attack here, Camp, is kind of similar to when my wife asked me to clean the house. I'm going to take care of the counter in the kitchen because that's the first thing she sees. So right away she'll think like I did more than I did. I can't clean the whole thing, but I'm going to, the obvious stuff that she looks at, I'm going to take care of that first.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but whatever. We've got to win Thursday.
Yeah.
No matter how we do it, we've got to do it. And if it's a game that we have to win 150 to 140, that'd be fine. But that's not how we've got to play, and it's not how we're going to be successful and have a good season. And we've got work to do, and they know it. And hopefully they're on board with what we got to do.
And that was something, Camp, that you talked to me. I think it was either after the first game or the second game of the tournament where you said we have to take a look even at what we're doing offensively. Like you said, I thought I had the personnel to be able to play this style. Maybe we have to take another look at that. Were you happy? Did you guys adjust that? Were you happy with the adjustments?
No,
in terms of pace?
We haven't backed that down yet. That's going to be something to heavily discuss this week on how we play Thursday. You've got to be able to guard, though. I mean, if you back down your speed on offense and play less possessions, if they score every possession, it still doesn't matter. So, it's still got to come down to we've got to put our energy into the defensive end right now if we're going to have any success at all. We're not shooting the ball at an elite level, and I thought this team could, and we're not. We have some guys that are shooting it well, but as a team, we're not. And hard to play fast if you're not an elite level shooting team. So we're learning all this stuff about us. That's what November's supposed to be. I mean, you look around the country and you see teams beat Power 5. At our level, you see a team beat a Power 5 and then turn around the next day and lose to a team that was 0-6. It's November basketball. We all know that. We've all experienced it. I told our team when we left Nassau that, last year we won the tournament, and there were 4 teams in that tournament that didn't win it, that went to the NCAA tournament, and we weren't one of them. So this is all about building and learning, not about, oh, look at us, we won, or look at us, we lost. But we have to look at what we're doing and fix it. And that's what we're going to try very hard to do. And there's 2 really good things that have come out of it. Number one is we're rebounding the ball a lot better. We really, really are.
Has that surprised you to some degree?
Well, we worked very hard on it. And, Keaton's a big part of that.
Helps, yeah.
Keaton's a big part of that because he runs down a lot of loose balls, a lot of rebounds. The teams we've played are bigger, stronger, and more physical than we'll play in league play. And if we can do it against Long Beach State, 6'9", 6'7", whatever they were, physical specimens. Missouri State had, a lot of size. San Jose State had a 7-footer. If we can do it against those teams, we can surely do it in the league. And that was my biggest fear going into the season is that we can't rebound. And I'm really pleased with the strides we're making on that. Now, we got to get them to miss more shots. I mean, there aren't a lot of chances to rebound when they're making everything. And so that's one of the big, pluses that I have. And then the second biggest plus is the kids. I mean, I got really, really good kids, and they want to win. And I think when you got people that want to win, they're not going to battle with you. They're not going to fight you when you try and make changes. And, they all want to play fast and score a lot of points and get stats down. But I think we're all coming to the realization that that's not how we're going to win. And so as we fight through this and learn that, I feel really confident that they'll be on board with what we're doing.
All right, well, we'll take our first break. And speaking of, Keaton Hervey will be joined by him when we come back. This is the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Greg Kampe Show. We are live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. My name is Neil Rule, a voice of the Golden Grizzlies, and right now we are joined by Keaton Hervey of the Oakland Golden Grizzlies basketball team, the transfer from Missouri State. And Keaton, I appreciate you coming up here, man. How you feeling?
Thank you for having me first off, and it's just an honor to be here and chop it up about Oakland.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do, man, is we're going to sit up here and chop it up. There is no doubt about that. Before we get into, the season so far and the games and things like that, what brought you to Oakland?
Well, out of JUCO, Kampe, me and him had a great relationship, Smitty too, and I was really, really close to coming to Oakland, and it was actually crazy because I committed to Missouri State, and right after I committed to Missouri State, Coach Kampe told me, hey, man, I'm signing this kid named Jalen Moore. He's about to be the nation's best point guard, here, so and so forth. And, before coming season, Jalen led the nation in assists. The next year, runner
Second,
up.
yep.
Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, Kampe saying that and that kind of just coming full circle. That was really big for me. I could just tell by the way he believed in his players, because while he was recruiting me, he just sent me a lot of videos about current players and the words they had to say about him. And I could tell that Kampe is just truly a coach who loves his players and coaches them and wants to get the best out of them. And, coming from Missouri State, a situation that didn't go in my favor, I feel like that's what I really needed, was a coach who truly believed in me and wanted to see the best out of me.
And fast forward, you're here now playing at Oakland, and then lo and behold, we go to the Bahamas and in Missouri State. He becomes one of the opponents in the Nassau Championship. And I asked you about this yesterday after the game. because I noticed it I couldn't hear like word for word what it was. I noticed that there was a little extra on the line. Is that fair to say? I want to ask you like what specifically was going on out there, but safe to say there was a little extra on the line, wasn't there?
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of tension in the game, and it was a entirely new team for the most part, but that tension was still there with the new players and the coaching and all that. So it was a dogfight. It was a good test for us. We were holding our own. We dealt with some adversity. We weren't able to fully bounce back, but it's not a loss; it's a lesson for us, and that's how we're gonna take it.
All right. Well, Keaton, what about this too? Because Camp and I do this radio show every single week, and lots of interviews and media stuff. And coming into the season, he had talked about how rebounding the basketball was a concern of his. And you go through the numbers and how you guys have been able to rebound the basketball. You certainly, Trey, as well. You have been a force rebounding the basketball. And Keith, when people ask me about you and your game and stuff like that, look, rebounding is one of those things that I call it a want-to business. You can't fake rebounding the basketball. Either you go get the basketball or the other dude gets the basketball. Those are the only two outcomes. You want to get the basketball. Is that how you feel about it? Is there a different approach you take? How do you rebound the basketball?
No, you're definitely right. It all comes down to just hustling hard, and us being a small team, I realized that I'm gonna have to rebound and push others along to rebound. And like coach has been saying, we definitely have made strides because you can just tell the intensity in terms of boxing out, are all just crashing the glass has gone up. And for me, it's just I just crash the glass, and what kind of comes whenever you're just playing hard and trying to be in the right position. So that's how I feel like all those rebounds come in my way.
And what I've noticed too is your style of rebounding the basketball in that you will tip if you're not in a position where you can grab the ball, you will tip the ball to a different position and then try to grab it that way. Sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times. I mean, you expend a lot of energy going after a rebound, and that's kind of goes back into the want-to business. It's just for me, what you never give up on a rebound. It seems like, and that's something you don't see that a ton in college basketball. That's more something along the lines you see an NBA player do. That's like a rebounding specialist. You never give up on a rebound, do you?
No, I've tried to get every rebound, and even if the other team has the rebound, I'll still try to poke it away until it's just like they're off getting back to in, getting on defense. I'm going to attack the rebounds, and then same thing, offensive glass too.
With what I've seen from you, Keaton, and I knew this obviously because I compile the stats and everything for what I do with the broadcast, but I didn't know it until I saw you do it. You were 40% three-point shooter at Missouri State. And because of the way you rebound the basketball, I think some people might overlook that. But again, you're shooting the basketball well from distance. Again, do people overlook that about your game?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people overlook my shooting just because at times I can be streakish, but when I'm getting the looks and playing with my confidence, I know that I'm a very capable shooter and can knock down shots. So I feel like throughout time the story will tell itself.
What's it like playing with Jalen Moore? And I know that we haven't seen the best Jalen Moore yet, and we've talked about it, in terms of health and things like that. But that you talked about it a couple minutes ago. That was a big draw for you to be able to come play basketball with him. When you have an explosive point guard, what's that like for you as a player?
Well, I know fully what Jalen's capable of just throughout the summer, and then prior to his injury, and how much of a game-changing point guard he is. And it's honestly been a joy playing with him because he's a great guy, good hand on his shoulders. He cares about the whole team, so it's good playing for a selfless point guard like that.
Talk about Keaton Hervey here on the Greg Kampe Show live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. What about Keaton Hervey off the court? Well, I guess all right. I know that the games and in terms of the results didn't go the way that you wanted them to per se. But as far as, like the Bahamas experience and all that stuff, did you get out in the pools? Did you get out on the beach? You more of a pool guy or more of a beach guy?
More of a beach guy. But yeah, I went out to the beach. It was beautiful, breathtaking scenery. It was just really hot and humid, but it was definitely, a trip that's once in a lifetime, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah. What about off the court? Keaton, what do you do? I mean, is it the video game stuff? What are you doing on a Saturday night if you don't have a game?
Really just probably chill with the teammates. Video games every once in a while. I'm big on sports. Love to watch college basketball, NBA, football. Just laid back, really just chilling, getting in the gym.
Who's your NBA team, by the way?
I wouldn't say I have a so-called NBA team, just more players I like to keep up with.
Okay, I mean that's kind of how I'm with the sports too. I like the players, and whatever team they're associated with, that's a team that they're associated with. What's it going to take? I'll ask you this, and Kampe has talked about it. You hear him talk about making adjustment, things like that. Is that something that you guys discuss too internally as a team?
Yes, sir. It's definitely something that we all are talking about because we have a close collective group. Like Coach says, a good group of guys. So it's not pointing fingers. We're all trying to come together and come to a solution that just has us stand the other team at the end of the day.
You being a veteran of college basketball, but still new in here, do you feel as though you have that ability to speak up? Because you're very quiet. You're a very quiet dude. I've noticed that when we travel, you don't have a lot to say. You're not quote goofing around a ton or anything like that. You kind of go about your business. But when you guys get together and you discuss, hey, this is working, hey, this isn't working, do you feel that freedom to kind of step up and speak your piece?
Yeah, I definitely believe that the guys, they listen to me, they take what I have into account because I take everything that they have into account. So you're right, but I'm like, chill off the court, go on the court. I talk a good amount, but I think that I do need to up my intensity on talking and communicating with the guys.
What do you like most about playing college basketball, man?
It's just honestly a blessing. I've been to a lot of different schools, and Oakland being my last ride, this is like just the perfect situation, perfect school for me. Like I said, we're not getting the wins, but it's a team that I know we're all really united and close with each other, and it's really a joy to play on a team like that.
The home games here at the arena and the Grizz gang in particular, which has been showing out, every single game. What's it like to play in front of all the Grizz gang?
It's honestly so much fun. They really do bring the energy. It makes it feel like you're playing in a big gym with the intensity they bring, and it's just a big dynamic for us. And I haven't played for a crowd like that, so it's new and I really enjoy it.
So getting ready for Horizon League play. You've been around the block, man. Like I said, you understand what's about to go down this weekend, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going to be a battle. It's conference season, so like we say, all the games in the past don't matter. It's a whole new season, and anything's always capable of happening.
All right, well, Keaton, I appreciate you pulling up here, and rapping with us, man. It's good to get to know you. Like I said, you're kind of a quieter guy, like when we travel and things like that, man. But you're good people to talk to.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Give it up for Keaton Hervey, everybody here on the Greg Kampe Show. We'll take a break. It's time for your questions on Twitter. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Send a tweet with the hashtag AskKampe. We will get to them all here tonight. We'll be right back with more of the Greg Kampe Show live from RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Greg Kampe Show brought to you by the Pino Insurance Agency. The Pino Insurance Agency, LLC of Mimic Insurance, caters to the educational market. If you're looking for affordable insurance at a knowledgeable insurance agency, go online to pinoinsurance.com today. That's P-I-N-O insurance.com today. Can confirm, by the way, as the spouse of an educator, use Mimic Insurance ourselves. Very, very happy with it. He is Coach Greg Kampe. My name is Neil Rule. Happy to have you guys with us. Camp, you were just talking with some of the patrons here at RJ's Pub. The humidity down there in the Bahamas, led to a little bit of condensation issues on the floor. I know you were talking with some of the fans about that. They said it was a little bit more of a deal in the earlier games. And that's what I heard. Just explain to everybody what was going on with that.
I think that, we played the first day we played the late game, and it wasn't an issue. But I had watched the games during the day, and it was an issue for every team. And it burned us in one of the games. We had 3 straight possessions that we slipped on the court, lost the ball, and gave up a layup at the other end. Keaton was going in for a layup, and both feet went out. I think both feet went out. It wasn't one where you slid it. I was more worried about somebody getting hurt.
Right.
But it's not an excuse because it's the same for both teams, and it happened to everybody. Unfortunately, in that one game, that the coach of San Jose State and I are really close friends, and we met afterwards. And the first thing he said is that, they forced our guys to those wet spots. He was taking the credit for the defense to force us to the wet spots where they would slip. So, every coach knew about it. The biggest fear was somebody could get hurt. Nobody got hurt. So it is what it is. It was part of the game.
You ready for some hashtag Ask Kampe action?
Sure.
All right.
I haven't looked at any of them today other than Marty's. So.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll lead off with Marty's because that was the first one. He said your post-game comments after 8 games were spot on in terms of slowing the pace offensively and defending better. The zone defenses look good at times, but has lacked consistency. What key adjustments can you make to make the zone more effective?
Well, I think right now what we're trying to do is figure out where to move our personnel to better play the zone. And one of the things I'm looking at is moving Keaton off the top and putting him on a wing. I think he might be able to even rebound at a higher rate from the wing. And I think he's been a man-to-man player all his life, and his man-to-man tendencies, I'm having a hard time breaking them. And, so if you're playing at the top of the zone, it's more of a gambling, wild west type of position where you're out there and I'm not sure we're getting the best out of him defensively as I can. I think he's one of our better defenders, one of our better on-ball defenders. And I think I need to get him in a position where he's guarding the ball in the scoring position more instead of guarding it where it's going to be passed. And so that's one of the things I'm looking at. I haven't even talked to him if he's still here listening. That's the first he's heard of it.
Did you get that, Keaton? Are you ready?
Yeah.
It says he's ready to go. All right.
We're looking at where best to play Jalen under where his health is right now. I'd like to get Trey Townsend away from the basket. One of the really good things that is happening is I think we're starting to see Chris Conway becoming a little more comfortable. And, Chris played double-digit minutes in the games there, and he didn't hurt us.
No.
He didn't hurt us. And that's the first step. The first step when you're trying to become a player is you get out there and you get your minutes and you don't hurt the team while you're out there. Then your next step is helping the team. What extra am I bringing? Am I getting the rebound that needs to be got? Am I making the defensive stop that needs to be made? When I get the look, am I knocking that shot down? And Chris had a couple games where he made, the shots he made were not difficult one-on-one moves, but they're shots that have to be made, and he made them. So I think that was a big bonus for us, and getting him some more minutes where I can move Trey away from the hoop in the zone. I think Trey's really made for the Jamal Cain spot, the out on top spot, the second guy in the line. And excuse me, I'd like to see if I can move him out there. Again, we don't want to make major adjustments until after this week's over because we've worked since June to get here. we're learning about our team, which is why I hate league games in the end of November, 1st of December is a really bad time, in my opinion, to play league games. But that's here to stay. We're going to see it for a while. So, we've got to survive this week. We've got to find a way to survive the week and get our personnel in the right position, and then make sure we have a saying, do your job. And I think, you listen to pro coaches in their interviews and you listen to college coaches in their interviews, and it's kind of a buzzword when they say do your job, but it really is a valuable thing that your players know what their job is and that they do their job. And in that zone, it's not any good if one guy's not doing their job. So we're working real hard to get people to do their jobs.
Just to follow up too about the defensive things that we talked about, and that San Jose State game, I brought up the fact, one time trailed by 26 there in the second half, you guys cut it all the way down to 3, and you did make that switch, and you put Jalen up at the top, and it was exactly like you talked about the gamble, the roulette wheel almost defensively, where he would reach in, he would reach for rips, he would get them, and then it's an instantaneous transition opportunity. Is that something that we'll see more, or as you talked about, is that kind of health dependent, or how do you see that shaking out?
I don't want to live with that, because we've just got to get back to a base and build from the base. And right now we don't have a base. We're you talked about your wife and cleaning the house.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get that, but from a foundation of a home, you want, if your foundation isn't good, your house isn't going to be good, and your defense isn't going to be good if it's all hit or miss, and we get a steal in that. And we've got to get back and get basically the foundation of our defense has got to be better, and that starts with the coaching staff. That starts with how Smitty and I had a long talk on the plane and that about he's mad at himself because we just got ripped with backdoor cuts in the tournament. And when I talked to Coach Miles after the San Jose State game, he said they didn't want to even run an offense against us, against our zone. What he wanted to do was get the ball in the high post and have 5-4 guys cut. And he said somebody on our team would be ball watching. And he's right. And you would find that open guy cutting, and they did. And so we've just got to get back to our base and our foundation. As somebody was talking about, we haven't worked hard enough at that. And we all beat ourselves up when things don't go well in our lives and in our business, right? We all do that. That's part of success and getting better and learning from mistakes. And we're looking at, what we could do better as coaches to put them in a better situation to succeed, what we didn't work hard enough at. And it's broke. I mean, there's no question that defensively it's broken. I mean, we played 8 games and we're giving up 40% from the 3 and 48% from the floor. You're not going to win a championship doing that. I don't know any team that's ever won a championship doing that. So that's got to get fixed. And we could sit back and say, well, they're lucky. We played good teams. They're hot, that kind of stuff. And hopefully some of that is true. But the bottom line is, if we're going to get better, you got to take ownership in it, and we've got to fix it. And our players are going to have to take ownership in it too. And, tomorrow's practice will be a very important practice for us.
You brought up Chris Conway, and I felt the same watching it out there. When you see him out there, it is different this year. And I know you talk about, look, defensively is how you get on the court, right? Any basketball coach will tell you that. Your defense dictates how much you play, not the offense. However, offensively, what he's able to bring with that 15-foot jump shot, the post game, etc., his offensive game really seems to have taken a step forward.
Yeah, well, we've got really good offensive players around him, so he hasn't seen doubles, and he's been the recipient of drop-off passes and that. But he's making those plays, which is what I was saying. That's good. He's, Chris's kryptonite that's going to keep him off the floor is his toughness and his ability to defend. And he's just, he's a step slow defensively because he thinks too much. And hopefully repetition and hopefully minutes will change that. And that's what I'm hoping. He's doing what he's supposed to do. As I said, he's not hurting us. And once you get a player to that, spot, they usually blossom, especially bigs. They usually blossom, and I'm hoping to see him blossom because we really need it. We need him and Will. They would be. I would like by the end that Will and he are splitting 35 minutes between themselves, and if we can get to that, that means they're playing at the level we need to play at. We got a chance to be a really good team, but we're not one right now.
You talked about Tim Miles, coach at San Jose State, who came into Nebraska, really turned their fortunes around and things like that. You guys obviously are very, very close. Is that an advantage? Like when you get in these tournament situations and they're out in the Mountain West, and you guys won't see each other again probably this season. Is that an advantage where you guys can sit down and talk and he can shoot you straight and say, Camp, this is how we were going to attack you? Just basically what you said. Is that a plus for you?
Well, yeah, but that's what. Our business is, it's like any other business. You have people that you trust and you have friends. And I mean, Izzo and I do the same thing every year after the Michigan State game. Within an hour after we've left our teams, we're on the phone going over, what were you trying to do? How did you do this? That's what you do when you have long-standing relationships with coaches. So, I'm fortunate that I've lasted so long and been around so long that, I know a lot of people. So I get an opportunity to do that with a lot of coaches. And a lot of times we play non-league games against people so that, I can get feedback like that. That's very valuable feedback. The problem was he drinks, and the loser had to buy the drinks.
And you're kind of a cheap date.
I'm a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Down there, a Diet Coke was $7.
Yeah. It did hit a little different down there. Yeah.
I will say this though, having gone 7 days without a Diet Dr. Pepper, I was sweating. I mean, that was. But his drinks. And if we'd have won, he would have to buy the cigars. All right, so. You would have
it was up there, though, right?
It was a costly night for me, but I learned a lot about her.
Camp, got a question from a fan earlier today before we went on the air. Asked about you as a basketball coach. Now, you were a college football player as well at Bowling Green, college basketball player. What made you go into coaching basketball versus going into coach football? And as you see, Lane Kiffin get a $72 million extension and Hugh Freeze get, $70 million plus. Do you question that choice now?
My college career is kind of weird in that I didn't know what I wanted to play. Football was my biggest love. And I was that was the sport that I really excelled in. I was okay in basketball. Good enough that I got recruited, but I was never someone that was going to make a difference on a college basketball court. But in football, I had an opportunity. And going through my career playing both, one of the things that I didn't like about football when I was trying to get into the coaching profession was that my coach that I loved was my position coach. And in those days, there were 105 Division I scholarships. Now I think it's down to 85 or 95. Right. But there were 105 scholarships, and you had walk-ons. You have 120 players on a football team. And the defensive back coach was my guy. There's 11 or 12 people in the defensive back room, and that's where you got to know the coach. That's where you hung out. That's where you did all your film work. That's where you were together every day at practice. Don Nalen, who was the head coach, who's in the Football Hall of Fame, I got to know him as a coach because I also punted. And so every day when practice started, I would be with the offense. And because I was the punter, I called the signals in the huddle. And so he would come in and say what he wanted and everything. And I would have meetings with him because in those days, you really didn't have special team coaches. The special team coach came later. Usually in those days, the head coach ran the kick, punt, that kind of stuff. And so I had a relationship with him only because, he'd get mad at me if I'd shank a punt or something like that. That was my interaction with the head coach, other than, before you go down the tunnel to the field, the head coach would give you the, rah-rah speech or whatever. But you come in at halftime and you would break into a room and you're in only with the defensive backs coach. Then you would go to a room where the defensive coordinator would go over the adjustments. And then the head coach might say, come on, let's go. And we'd run out there. So I didn't like that. I'm kind of anal when it comes to that. I want my hands on everything.
Right.
So I wanted to coach 15 kids where I got to know all 15 of them and really feel part of it. And that's really the reason I chose basketball over football. And it never snows in an arena.
That is true too.
Yeah. And at Bowling Green, that was a wind tunnel out there. And on November days in practice, my God, you couldn't believe how cold it was. Back then, there were no indoor practice facilities. So if I were to come through today with all the luxuries of that, I probably would have coached football.
And those $72 million contracts too, probably. Yeah, that wouldn't hurt as well. Gary Gilbert with the hashtag #AskKampe. Coach, the 5 road games ahead look daunting before you close out December by hosting the 2 Wisconsin schools. What should we diehard fans be watching for this month? What signs of progress?
Well, I think, Gary, that what we really want to do is compete and win Thursday and Saturday. And if we can split or get 2 wins in that, we're in pretty good shape. We're playing the 2 teams that tied for first last year on the road. And one of those 2 teams is picked to win the conference. So if we can get out of it with a split or with 2 wins, we're going to feel really good about ourselves. But those other 3 games are daunting games. I mean, could we go to Syracuse and win? Yes, they've lost to mid-majors this year. If we shoot the ball the way we're capable against their zone, we could have a chance. They're not a prolific scoring team. But from that date after the Syracuse game till the Boise State game, we've got a 2-week period where now we've got to fix what our problems are. We've got to survive up to after the Syracuse game. Then we come back with Boise and Michigan State. We just got to compete and try and, show that what we've tried to fix, we fixed. And then we get 2 home games in the league, and hopefully we can right ourselves. And, by the time we go to the second weekend of league play, where we go to Northern Kentucky and Wright State, which, obviously are the 2 best teams in the league with Fort Wayne, we're going to know a lot about ourselves. And I think when we come home from that weekend, we're going to know if we're a top 4 team, a top 8 team, the worst team in the league, whatever. We're going to know more about ourselves then.
Lastly, Cam, you mentioned that the early December conference games, and I think that's something we're going to see more of and not less as you look at conference expansion and the addition of teams and those kinds of things. What's your thought on that? If I made you the college basketball king for a day, how would you fix it?
I'm very scared about where it's going and what's going on. And, we'll see what happens with the NCAA tournament. That's the biggest concern I have. What are they really going to do with it? There's a lot of talk out there. If they leave it alone, then I don't care what we do with the regular season. If they change that, you're going to see the regular season change also. Right now, the Power Fives are trying to decide who they want to play non-league. And what I'm finding out is it used to be they wanted to play teams like Oakland that have a good year and have a good RPI in that. Now they don't. They want to play the worst teams because all they're trying to do is get wins because of all these conference inter games, the Big East Challenge, the whatever.
The made-for-TV stuff.
Right. They're all playing those games. And so they're getting all the games they need, all the quad 1 and quad 2 games they need for the tournament. So now they just want wins. And, that'll hurt us. That'll really hurt us. I'm going to talk to Izzo after we play this year. And what I'm going to try and do is try and get that contract. We've got after this year, we have 2 years left, and I'm going to try and get it extended because Brad Underwood at Illinois told me we're going to play at Illinois next year. I got a bunch of friends in Chicago, and I told them many times we'd come, and they want us to play at Illinois. So we're going to do that. And I got the game, and he said, I'll do it this year, Kampe. I have no idea. He goes, I'm being told to only schedule 1 or 2 non-conference games in the future. And I go, wow. So what? He goes, Well, with the Big Ten challenge, with this challenge, with that challenge, with the league going to 20 teams, 18 teams with UCLA and USC coming in, and they may move to 24 to 26 league games. If they do that, we're in big trouble. All mid-majors are in big trouble. And so who knows what's going to happen, but that's what he told me. He said, in 2 years, I've been told, 3 to 5 non-league games is all, scheduled, and just wait to see what happens.
Yeah, so we will see how it plays out. Greg Hessen back in our studios calling for the break. Sorry, Greg, I'm a little bit late for it, but we'll get it in right now. When we come back, we will talk about the Open to Horizon League play. You're listening to the Greg Kampe Show. We're live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Live here at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills, and the Greg Kampe Show brought to you by Henry Ford Sports Medicine, the official team physicians for Oakland University and you. For more information, visit henryford.com/athlete. So, Camp, here we go. Horizon League play getting going. Cleveland State on Thursday, Purdue Fort Wayne on Saturday, then a trip to Syracuse next Tuesday, by the way, which we will not be here next Monday night for the Greg Kampe Show because we'll be traveling to Syracuse.
Oh, really? The game's
Right.
Tuesday? I thought it was Wednesday. Tuesday. Sorry.
There you have it. All right, everybody. We will effort.
Are we going to do a show?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Tape one or not?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's the way it'll have to work. So we'll get that handled, and we'll let you know everything that is going on with it. But Camp Cleveland State Thursday night, it's for real.
Yeah, they're good. I was hoping they wouldn't be, to be honest with you. They lost a lot of players. They lost their coach. They've got a new coach who came from Iowa State, and they opened their season with a really bad loss. They lost to a non-D1. They lost to Notre Dame, but not Notre Dame in Ohio or something like that. So, I think everybody thought, that's going to take some time, and somehow they've you talk about righting your ship. They went to Western Michigan Saturday, and they were ahead by 40.
They drilled them. Yeah.
They were ahead by 40. I watched the tape on the plane on the way home last night. They played flawless. They played a really, really good basketball game. Western had a tough shooting night, but a lot of that had to do with Cleveland's defense, and they made shots. One of the things that Cleveland State didn't do well over the last couple of years was they weren't a great perimeter shooting team, and this year they're making threes, they're making shots. They've got that big kid still, Deontay Johnson stayed. They've got a transfer from Iowa State that's 6'7", that's probably an all-league level player. Their backcourt, excuse me, Hill and I forget the other kid's name, Johnson or something like that. They're both solid in back. They're a good team, really good team, and the guy's done a really good job. I give that kid or man or whatever he is. He's a young coach now. They're all kids to me now. But I give him a lot of credit. They've done a really, really good job, and I'm sure that we beat them twice last year, and I'm sure that they'll be prepared to play us. And like everybody, no matter what's happened, everybody's 0-0. There's 11 teams that are 0-0, and we're one of them. And hopefully, we'll come and play our best game of the year.
A team that probably will not struggle to shoot the basketball. Purdue Fort Wayne on Saturday, 3:00, national television, by the way, on ESPNU, also on radio on 12:70 a.m. I'm just saying. But Purdue Fort Wayne, they do not struggle to shoot the basketball, Cam.
My sister's a little weird. She'll put ESPN on and then listen to you, but she's weird. I don't know why anybody would do that, but she does. I think they've had a very good preseason. I think they're picked to win the league along with Northern Kentucky. I think that there's a reason they're picked to win the league. They've got a really good team. They played Michigan a good game. They played Northwestern a really good game, and they pretty much beat everybody else they've played. So if we don't guard in that game, they're going to score 100 on us. That would not be good. So I'm really not worried about that right now. I'm just trying to get through Cleveland State, and then hopefully we can turn our attention to them on the bus ride over there after the game Thursday night.
Camp, what about that too? When a new coach comes in, as you talked about, he was a longtime assistant at Iowa State. They had a lot of success there during his run, 4 Sweet 16s, a couple of Big 12 tournament championships as well. What would you do if you were in that situation, Camp, in today's day and age of college basketball? What would be some of the moves that you would make if you were taking over a program? And where do you start?
Well, I think he's taken over a program that's 2-time defending champion in our league. So I think
that's a good start.
Yeah, and he's got some good players at State, but they lost some good players too. But I think there's a lot of pressure on him to win because they're 2-time defending champions in the regular season. So I think though it's not a lot of times if I were ever going to take a job, I think I'd take one where you can ramp up. There's no expectations, and you build expectations. He's in the exact opposite situation, and honestly, Neil, I'd have no idea what I would do because never thought about something like that.
I like to ask the challenging questions, Camp. You
got me there because it's not something I've ever really thought about.
That's a first, I think, where you haven't had an answer for a question. I think that is a very first time. Camp, final 2 minutes of the show here. Just kind of your thoughts. We are getting to push the reset button a little bit now, and it's Cleveland State.
I'm highly disappointed. I think our players are highly disappointed too. I think that we had a swag about ourselves, and we got punched in the nose, and now we're going to find out. We're going to find out what we're made of. We know we're not very good on defense, and we know we have to fix that. We're not going to shy away from it. We're going to try and go fix it. I've got some really good players, though. Keaton, Trey. Rocket once scored 2 points down there. Hopefully that will never happen again. Jalen, all league level players. So we've got some really good players. We can score the ball. So there's always hope when you can score the ball. And I just think that we've got to, it's time to play some basketball Thursday night.
Absolutely. Big thank you to everybody that came out, everybody here at RJ's Pub as well. And of course, our guy, Greg Hessen, back in our 1270 The Bet studio. So again, no show here anyway from RJ's Pub next week, but we'll be back in action the following Monday. So for Greg Kampe and Greg Hessen back in the studios, my name is Neil Rule. Thanks for listening, everybody, to the Greg Kampe Show live at RJ's Pub in Rochester Hills. Well, see you later.